Hello guys, yes I am blonde. I dyed my hair for the summer and I love it. Today's video is going to be a very quick video. I have 5 tips for surviving a breakup. Now these are not the only tips that I have. I will probably make this kind of into a series, a survival series if you will. I noticed when I went through a very devastating, difficult breakup well over a year ago, I didn't have really anybody to cling to. My thing is to go to YouTube and like how to do this, and my one question was, how do I survive this breakup? And everybody was talking about their healing journeys, and I'm like, no, I'm not there. I just need to get day by day through my life, because every day I lived with a person for almost 2 years, and for over 5 years I was in this relationship where I was seeing this person almost every single day, talking to this person every single day, and now they've been stripped from my life almost completely. How do I survive that? So here are some tips. Obviously, you need to do what is best for you in the moment. Don't rush anything. There is no timeline. Don't go by anybody else's timeline. I would say I really started to feel a difference in a lot of my life in like 6, 7, 8 month time frame. But that was also the hardest time of my life. A disclaimer, everybody's situation is different. So it was a pretty mutual breakup. I know a lot of people say that, and it wasn't. It was. Looking back on it now, knowing what I know, it was a mutual decision. Doesn't mean that it still doesn't hurt. And I'm just giving advice based on my life and my situation. So my ex and I, we were together for over 5 years. We only shared a dog. That was it. Obviously, we shared an apartment. I moved out of said apartment and I moved back in with my parents. 5 things, let's go. So number 1, I would say, is huge. Find a healthy distraction. Whether that's working on a project, cleaning something, finding a new hobby, anything that diverts most of your mental capacity to overthink things and like dive deep into the what ifs and all of the past and present and future. Find a hobby. It will be the most beneficial for you if you divert a lot of your attention to something. Obviously, if you have kids, if you have other responsibilities other than yourself and maybe an animal, it's going to be a little bit harder, or maybe it will be easier. Obviously, if you share kids with that person, it might be more difficult, but again, I'm going based off of my situation. I focused a lot on making this bedroom a place that I could go to at the end of a day and really enjoy and make it my own. So I ended up putting, behind you is a curtain wall. I had this in our first apartment together, but I took it and I was like, I want to make this like a backdrop if I ever want to film. I want to just make it pretty. I want to make it an oasis. I really like added a couple of things. Obviously, I have a lot of pictures. I have a lot of signs. I just tried to immerse myself with a big project, keep myself very, very busy. I also kept myself really busy on an unhealthy spectrum too, and I focused too much on other people's problems. If you want to hear about that, you can watch my anxiety and depression video. I'll leave a card up here. That's an unhealthy way of distracting yourself. Number 2, have an emotional outlet to vent in with whomever. It could be a person, it could be a journal, it could be singing, it could be breaking something. I know there's those anger rooms. I've always kind of been intrigued to see those because I'm actually an angry crier. So I don't ever cry out of, or I'm never angry and like physically hurt or break something. I end up crying. So finding something that's an emotional outlet. So if it's a person, if it's therapy, if it is singing, if it's a hobby, if it's journaling, like anything you need to have an emotional outlet too. You can't just completely shut off your mind and distract yourself 24/7. It's not healthy. But do it in a way that you can find consistency and healthy. That's the whole point, is like healthy habits, healthy tips to survive. I did a lot of day trips. So I did a lot of driving around. After work, I would come home, grab her, and we'd go for a drive for a while. I did do last April a trip, day trip, evening trip, whatever. I drove without a destination in mind, and I ended up getting a hotel once I was done driving, and just allowed myself some time to think, some time to cry, which I know isn't the best when you're driving, but I do really find a lot of comfort in being alone in certain times, and driving is one of those. I love to drive. I'm a huge driver. I am the driver, and I love that. Number 3, and probably the hardest out of all of these, honestly, take the person out of your life completely. Again, situational, I know. For me, we were trying to share Savannah, and it's not realistic. You have a dog, you're not going to share the dog. But we tried, and he actually came to the conclusion that it wasn't healthy. And he was right. It wasn't healthy for either of us, and it just made our lives harder. But it was definitely hard to really then say goodbye completely. Don't stay friends. There is no benefit in it unless you have kids and you are completely able to do that. But in a situation like mine, where it's a mutual breakup, you don't see each other in your lives in the future, just don't. There's no point in trying to stay friends. There's too much hurt there, and honestly, you're going to probably end up rebounding with somebody else or getting back together with that person, and that's no offense, but that is a waste of each other's time. One thing that I would say and would suggest is cleansing your space. Get rid of things that remind you of them. Clothes, pictures, gifts. I ended up finally at a stage of that process. I packed up a bunch of things that I had. So any clothes that might have been his that I ended up taking, I ended up packing up pictures, picture frames, collages, just different pieces, and really cleansing those things. I set them aside, and then I needed emotional release, and I burned them. I burned what I could, and it was very nice. I actually at that point already didn't really feel like I needed to do that, but it was good. It was good for me. I really just didn't want those materialistic things to have a hold over me anymore. It's so ridiculous. Number 4, find small self-care activities and try to incorporate them in your life. So spa nights, movie night in, cooking a grand dinner for yourself, and focus your newfound attention on yourself. If you were in a relationship that you spend a lot of time in a relationship, focusing on the other person, and that is something that I did, and that's no fault of his or anything. It's just the type of person that I am. And I don't think it's a bad thing either. I just didn't know how to balance my self-care with also caring for somebody else. So I really wanted to focus my newfound attention on myself, and I'm still trying to do that. And my thing that I did, looking back right then and there, I loved it and it was good. Now I would love to get back to kind of a place of, I worked out 3 to 5 days a week. 5 was a lot, but 3 was my sweet spot, and it felt good. It was a way to physically exert my body and get a lot of my emotion out through that outlet, with also making myself healthier. And then number 5, if possible, book a getaway, 1 or a few nights away. Getting out of town, we really didn't see each other, so that was never a problem. Like, that small town running into each other thing, like, didn't happen. I didn't do a getaway for about 7 months because I wasn't financially able to. I still wasn't back then either, but I wasn't able to get away when I did do it, and that was the just drive until I find a place to stay at. It was good. I didn't do as much finding myself, or whatever you want to call it, as I thought I would. But that's okay. It doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be grandiose. I don't have to do a lot. And even back then, there's that weekend is actually I vlogged it and I put it on my Instagram, Life of Sy. Go check it out. I said in those videos that I posted, like, I expected to do so much self-healing, and in reality, I didn't do any. Like, I did a little bit, but it was more of just a getaway from the feelings, the feeling of the world on top of my shoulders. So, little disclaimer, and I am reading this because I need to. Choose your own timeline. You decide how long you focus on any of the things that you want to. If you decide one of these isn't for you, then don't do it. You know, if you hate the idea of an emotional outlet, then that's fine. Don't do it. I think it's a good idea, but it's your life. If you want to focus on 2 out of 5 of these categories, like self-care and healthy distractions, then the others, do that. Like, I didn't do all of these at the same time. Oh God, I distracted myself for the longest time. Self-care really ended towards the latter part of my survival. I did a little here and there, but it was really just a lot of distracting. If you find something that is beneficial, short or long term, that isn't on this list, then do it. Also share it. If it's something that you do that is healthy, please, only healthy things, share it in the comments. I'm sure that all of us could use more ideas. There is no perfect way. You're surviving a really difficult time, living day by day. Some days are good and some are bad. It does get easier with time, but it just takes that. It takes time. I am a firm believer in time eventually heals you, but you also have to put in the work to heal yourself. And I'm not perfect at that. I'm still trying to do it. Not in regards to the breakup. I am very, very much past that. That's why I'm able to do these videos now. I'm more in a journey of healing my mind and my heart and my soul, and any traumas that I have, and anxiety and depression, and handling these harder things, and harder in a way of they're just new, and harder in a way of like you're really getting in tune with yourself. But that's a whole nother topic for another day. But I do really believe that time heals, and it really does. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope this was helpful to you. If you have any other tips, leave them in the comments down below. Also, let me know if you are following me on Instagram. If you're not, go check out at Life of Sy. I will leave my handle down below. It'll probably be somewhere on the screen here too. And yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. I really hope you are doing good. Don't feel like you have to be great in your breakup or your survival or day by day. I'm not, but it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to have a hold over you. So that's the biggest thing. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful life, and I will talk to you in my very next video in a couple of weeks. Mwah.